Welcome. We're here at our Contour Studios with a great friend of ours, Will Jacobs, who we've known for many years, a true professional. Will, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, folks. William Jacobs here, Keller Williams, Greater Nassau. I'm a licensed associate broker and working with Bridget and Charlie for quite a while now. I'm actually a retired New York City detective, and I segued into real estate as a profession that I could utilize my skills from the past to help families to get into homes and to create wealth for themselves. So the things I've done, I've worked with from foreclosures to mini mansions. So whatever your choices are, I'm the man for you.
So, Will, I know you do most of your business in Nassau County. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the people that you're working with?
Well, the people I'm working with are in different groups. For example, I'm working with people who are first-time home buyers, people who are transitioning from the apartment life into a single family, people who are downsizing. You know, the kids are out in the nest and they need something smaller. Or I'm working with families that are going from a smaller home, now they have kids going to high school, they need a bigger place. So it goes over a wide range. However, each person is looking for that unique place to call home, whether it's a condo, a single family, moving up,
Right.
or actually downsizing. So each person is looking for a unique niche that they could call home.
Right.
So Long Island seems to be the place where most people are transitioning from the city and coming in because you have more property size, schools, and shopping, and it's more family oriented. So most people are looking into Nassau County, and the taxes may be a little higher. However, it cancels out when you have to pay for private school.
Absolutely. So you have seen people transitioning from the boroughs to Nassau County to take advantage of the lifestyle we have here.
Yes.
When a seller's evaluating an offer, what are they looking at? Give us some insight. What tips can you give somebody that's presenting an offer to a seller?
I took a course for being a NASA certified negotiation expert. What does that mean? That gives me the opportunity to analyze the mindset of the seller. Where do they want to be? For example, if you have a seller that needs to be out of the house like within a very short space of time,
Right.
then the negotiation how to put that offering is different.
Right.
Wow.
If you have a person who has time on your hand, then the negotiation is different. So each presentation of an offer, you have to get into the mindset of where the seller is. For example, September, school is starting.
Right.
If they already purchased a home somewhere else, now they have two mortgages. If you have that as a buyer's agent, you could utilize that information to submit and present the offer based off of that seller's needs. So you're in that seller's head, you know what they want to do and exactly how to get the offer presented. Not only presented, but accepted, because you're giving them what they want. Sometimes it's not the money.
Right. Right.
Sometimes it's not the terms, even though those are all important.
Right.
Sometimes is if you're giving that seller what they want.
You know, Will, I know the real estate market can be challenging, especially today. If you could just give us a sample of some of the hurdles that you've been experiencing, and more importantly, how you've overcome them.
In the beginning of the year, there were appraisal adjustments that were made. So we'll talk about that side of it. Some of the appraisals are coming in short, meaning that if you put in an offer for $600,000, the appraisal may come in for $580,000. Now,
Right.
what do you do in that particular sense? You have two things. You ask the seller to come to the $580,000. That's one.
Right.
Number two, you split the difference, meaning the buyer say, okay, we'll put in 10, and the buyer and the seller will
Put in 10.
forgive 10.
Right.
Right.
Or the buyer, if they're in a position, will make up the difference of the entire amount. The war on buying properties is kind of sort of over.
Right.
Right.
So the hurdle of putting it over
Asking.
price,
Right.
that was a big problem. Now you don't have to really do that because it doesn't matches with the appraisal because of the appraisal problem. So if you're going to go over, you have to go with the intent that the appraiser is going to come in short.
So you see the market cooling off a little bit.
It is. The market is cooling off. The interest rate is coming up, and it's actually balancing out the prices.
Right.
So
Which
you
is a
have-
good
Because
thing.
demand has been mitigated. It's
Right.
demand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then now we're back to school. So most people are settled into where they want to be. So now if you're a buyer, this is a good time actually to look for properties because you have more properties coming on the market and less competition.
We were just talking about appraisals. What other hurdles do you see that sellers are experiencing?
During the bidding wars,
Right.
one of the tools that was used by buyers was bypassing the inspection in order to
Right,
be
right.
competitive.
Okay.
However, now the bidding wars cooled off. The buyers are back into the driver's seat somewhat, so it's only makes sense for a buyer to do their inspection to know exactly what they're buying, especially someone with limited funds.
That's a great point. Right, Bridget? I mean, we've
I
spoken
agree.
to so many
I agree.
agents. I mean, that's
Some of the control of the transaction has been removed from the seller. Now the buyers have a little more control, right?
Yes.
So that's really important. It's
and this is
important.
positive news.
Absolutely.
Because,
Definitely.
It's
I
good
mean, we
for-
spent
yeah.
2 years of no control.
Exactly.
So it definitely changes the mindset that now's the time to buy.
It is. It's not doom and gloom for either buyers or sellers because the market is resetting itself. So for what does that mean? So for sellers, if you price your property properly
Right.
and you have the best curb appeal and you declutter your property and it's presenting itself right, you're going to get top dollar. Now, what does it mean for buyers? For buyers, if you are prepared by getting a pre-approval
Right.
from my friends at Contour,
That's us.
I know your mortgage is going to be perfect. Therefore, when you go out and look at properties and I show you a property, make sure that you're willing to compromise on certain things. Make sure that what you're looking for fits you and your family. Don't forget your dog. So as a buyer, when you're looking at these properties, make sure that what you see is what you're buying. And the availability of properties are coming more and more on the market. Therefore, you have a better selection.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about overpricing. All right. Why is it a bad thing?
Overpricing in this current market is not going to be good for you.
Okay.
And here's why. Everyone goes online and look at properties, which is fine. But most buyers are using agents. And these agents are going to analyze the property to see whether or not that price is conducive to today's market. And because it's not, you're not going to have a whole bunch of people lining up outside, raising their hands, I'm ready to buy your house. If the house is overpriced, you're defeating the purpose because the time frame of being on the market is going to be longer.
Right.
Therefore, if you have a sense of urgency of going somewhere or doing something, it's just not going to happen. Even though a property may have sold down the block next door for the price you want to ask, that's not that kind of market today. Therefore, get your property evaluated by an experienced person so that it will be priced properly and you'll have more than enough qualified buyers knocking on your door to get their property.
So what you're saying, Will, is that when you overprice a property, you're actually limiting your foot traffic. And your objective should be, when you list a property, to get as many people in as you can.
Definitely. The more people that are in that are qualified to buy your property, that will build a buzz on it and actually will create competition.
Right. Competition is good.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And isn't there an advantage to slightly underpricing your property as well?
Yes, because if you underprice it slightly, you will give competition. Most people who are looking at properties, they have $10,000 to $20,000 cushion or 5% of the price. So most people are trying to stay under that radar. But if the property that's presenting itself is what they want, they are willing to go up to that $10,000 to $20,000 that they were not trying to spend. I always tell people, if you want something done, you could get it 3 ways, and you could only pick 2. Fast, cheap, and good. So which one you pick from that, if you pick fast and good, it's not going to be cheap.
Right.
Right. Right.
If you pick cheap and good, guess what?
It's not going
It's
to
not
be.
gonna be
gonna
fast.
So saying that to say the following, if you price the property right, you will get it fast, and you will get it good. Not going to be cheap.
Well, probably in my 25 years of doing mortgages in this industry, one of the most rewarding moments was one of the deals that we did for a veteran, and you sending the picture of that veteran and his son standing on the front steps. You remember that deal?
Yes, I remember that deal.
I mean, why don't you give our viewers a little bit about, Will Jacobs and why it's so important. There's business, there's money, there's financial, but why you do this?
Coming from a law enforcement background, I've had the opportunity to help a lot of people in different areas in their lives. When I segued into real estate, I wanted to use some of those qualities to help people to identify, buy, and or sell their home, to move on to the next chapter of their life. Working with first responders, law enforcement, teachers, doctors, the people especially that were giving more than we could have asked for during the pandemic, I believe it's my duty to give back to them. So for working with the with our client here, that I didn't ask for permission to interject his name into
Right.
I'm sure.
our video here today, but Charlie was overwhelmed, Bridget was overwhelmed, not with the transaction, but with the fact that we have the opportunity to get a family who helped us during the pandemic into the neighborhood they want to be in, which is close to family, the schools where his kids wants to go to, and for his commute to go back and forth of working in the military, protecting and serving our country. Bilardo, thank you, my friend. God bless you, and thank you for your service.
Well, Will, I'd like to thank you. I know your time is valuable. We really appreciate you coming in here. We believe that this type of forum really helps buyers and sellers. So the fact that you gave us so much of your valuable time, we really appreciate that, and we'd like to thank you.
Oh, thank you guys for inviting me. And as usual, I always look forward to working with you.
Oh, yeah.
We have extensive background of working with various clients. One of the things that I wanted the audience to know is that if you have any questions on real estate or mortgages that you'd like us to cover, please comment in the comment section below. And there you'll also find our information, our contact information. Again, thank you for inviting me, folks. I'm looking forward to the next segment. And guys, the next segment might depend on you, so please let us know what questions you have.
Thank you, Will.
Stay tuned for our podcast. Well, Will, thanks for coming in. We appreciate your time, and I think everybody's learned a lot today.
Thanks, my friend. Appreciate it. Looking forward to doing more of this.